Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Morgan You Know podcast. My name is Rod Morgan. I will be host this evening. We are a conversation show about sports and sports entertainment. One sport is live. We will not be talking about. Let me just go ahead and do that as a public service announcement. If you're looking for FIFA World Cup talk, you have come to the wrong podcast. We will not be covering the beautiful game on this one. Sorry if you're looking for FIFA talk, that will not be here. But if you want some talk about the NBA, if you want some talk about wrestling, you're in the absolute perfect place to talk about football is around the corner on this podcast. We thank you so much for taking time out to maybe join us live or later on your podcast platform of choice. All we ask is that you make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a comment. It would help me and the executive producer of this podcast out greatly. He is a co-host. He is a social media manager. He is a lot of things around here, but we like him an awful lot. It's Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
It is great to be here. The Cubs have won a game today. The Bulls have there's good things going on with the Bulls, except for one bad thing that we'll talk about. And the Bears, they're going to Indiana. Let's do this.
The Bear, listen, I'll believe that one when I see
They're
it.
not.
Let's go to our man who has heard the Bears are coming to Indiana talk numerous times in his life. He's been around the bend a few times. He's the voice of the fan on this podcast. He is our resident handyman. He's our guy, Chris King. Chris, hello.
We know that teams usually leave Indiana. I'm thinking of the Zoldner Pistons back in the day. But I got to say, if we learned anything last night, Charles Barkley hates San Antonio.
You can learn lots of things on Inside the NBA. We'll get to the NBA in just a little bit. We're going to start out with the cold open question. Warms us up, maybe gives you a chance to know us a little better. How about June 9th, 1934, the Walt Disney Company released Silly Symphony short, The Wise Little Hen. And that was the first ever appearance of one of my favorites, but not my ultimate favorite Disney characters, Donald Duck. So that's the cold open question this week, gentlemen. What is your favorite Disney character? Chris, you were around when Steamboat Willie was the original Mickey Mouse, so I'm interested in what your favorite Disney character is here.
Well, I lived with the inker who worked on Steamboat Willie. So I kind of had a little bit of impact there, maybe. But no, by far, my favorite Disney character of all time, Goofy. And there is no other answer other than Goofy.
Goofy's a strong answer.
For you, I hope. Yeah.
I got a pretty good answer, I think. Jimmy Jam, your favorite Disney character. You've had to watch lots of Disneys with the kiddos running around your house, I bet. What do you got?
I'm definitely a pro Disney consumer here. This was tough. There's three that I really like, but I think the ultimate, it's been from back in the day when my parents, our only vacation ever, when we went to Disney World, I did get a Pinocchio, little stuffy, if you will. So Pinocchio is what I'm going with. I can never tell a lie, Rod.
Pinocchio, I'm not surprised to hear Jimmy Jam going with Pinocchio. He wanted to be a real boy, just like Jimmy Jam wanted to show up to the game when there was 20 of us all meeting up at the Lincoln practice field for a huge football game, and Jimmy had to sit it out for roast beef. And I think that's where the Pinocchio love came from. Jimmy had to sit it out at home, and everybody else that he knew that he was going to have to meet up with school on Monday was playing in one football game, and Jimmy wasn't allowed to. Chris, what do you think of that?
I think that's a very sad story and probably a traumatic experience for Jimmy that you just brought up. But am I wrong that somebody was swallowed by a whale in Pinocchio, right? Geppetto, I believe.
And Pinocchio were both, yes.
They both. Well, did you guys see?
What I do on my own time is my business, okay, Chris?
Have you guys seen the new movie Whale Fall, I believe is what it's called? No,
That's
thank
not
you.
frightening at all.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I saw something about this on Twitter, but I must have missed that ad break. I think there was an ad for it during the game the other night, right? I saw something about this, but I missed it.
The trailer is by far one of the scariest things I've ever watched, Rod.
Well, see there, I'm out then. You know me well. You know me too well to know that I'm out on horror. But somebody that I am not out on, and Jimmy talked about going to Disneyland as a kid and wanting to get a picture with his character. I went to Disneyland as an adult with my 4-year-old, the Vanimal, back in the day, thanks to my in-laws. Shout out to Francis and Mary Rooney on this one. We were down at Disney. I was waiting in line to get my picture taken with this character, and that is the man who Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Because no one's slick like Gaston. No one's quick like Gaston. No one's neck is incredibly thick like Gaston. No one's been like Gaston. No one's a kingpin like Gaston. He's got a swell cliff in his chin. He wears antlers in all of his decorating. Oh, what a guy, Gaston. That's my dude. Waited in line to get my picture taken with Gaston. Can I vouch for everything that Gaston's into? I probably can't, but something about the guy's sense of humor I sort of like. So Gaston's my guy, Jimmy.
Hey, Chris, Gaston, as ChatGPT says, is an arrogant, hyper-masculine hunter who attempts to force Belle into marriage. Driven by a fragile ego and severe narcissism, he devolves from a boastful, chauvinistic village hero into a cruel and murderous villain. I'd say that's pretty much Rod.
Oh, Gaston gets such a bad rap, all right? Think of it.
Wow. Okay.
Think of it from this point of view. Here's a guy who seems to be the best hunter and the best provider in all the village. He's a crack shot. He can provide for a family, and he is picking the girl that he wants, the girl of his dreams, right? He tells the weird, nerdy, bookish girl, he tells people to leave alone because he likes her, right? Next thing he knows, she comes running into town saying, please help me. Some beast has kidnapped my father. And he just wants to help. He finds out that she's being held against her will next. So what does he want to do? He wants to go rescue this lady from a beast, some monster that these villagers have been talking about and scared of going into the woods for. And you go into this huge castle, and all of a sudden you're attacked by some living objects like candlesticks and dressers. This house is haunted and filled with monsters. This guy gets such a bad rap. Such a bad rap.
Gaston's my guy. Gaston's my guy. Chris sees it, Jimmy. You know what else? And listen, I like a guy, Jimmy, when we get there in wrestling, we talk about it quite often. I like a guy who's going to tell you all about it. And Gaston is going to tell you all about it before he goes and does it. And I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Man looks phenomenal in his outfit as well. Phenomenal, Jimmy. He cuts the jib of a true hero.
Yeah, I didn't know Chris was so pro Gaston. I'm shocked. That's great. We're going to clip that for sure.
That's definitely going to be one that we are going to get. You know what else we've been clipping a lot of lately is coming back to baseball. We get literally dozens of views on baseball. That proves that it is growing in popularity. Let's do Journey to Rodtober. All right, so for me, I had a bit of an old school feel with my Journey to Rodtober this week, right? You know me, I like to go to the baseball I still remember. I kind of lean towards the old guys. So my nod this week is to one Freddie Freeman, who had himself a week. On June 6th versus the Angels, he notched his 2,500th hit, becoming the 102nd Major League Baseball player to do so. I don't know how many more guys we're going to see get to that many hits as well. And then on June 9th versus the Pirates, he had his 20th walk-off hit, which puts him 6th place. And you guys get a load of this list. These are some baseball greats here. Frank Robinson tops the list with most walk-off hits at 26. David Ortiz, 23. Roberto Clemente, Dusty Baker, and Tony Perez all have 21. And then Freddie Freeman, Andre the Hawk Dawson, and Albert Pujols with 20. Ever heard any of those guys on that list, Jimmy Jam? My goodness.
A few of them, and that's the best part about baseball is you can go back 100 years and get all this information, and it actually kind of matters. No other sport really you don't care about stats as much as you do in baseball, and this is just really neat to see, hey, I am now in this league with all of these Hall of Famers, which I think every single person's a Hall of Famer on.
Freddie Freeman's got 2 rings, right? Wasn't he on the Braves team that won the ring, and then he got the ring with the Dodgers? So, yeah, multiple rings for him. So, Chris, Freddie Freeman, are we all right celebrating him?
Yeah, dude's a legitimate Hall of Famer, right? Anytime that you are on a list with any of these people, anytime that you're sniffing 3,000 hits, you are going to be a Hall of Famer. And as much as I want to give some love to Freddie Freeman, this list really just makes me sad that we lost Roberto Clemente too soon. That dude had 21 walk-offs at that age. Like, he could have had another 20 probably in his career.
Yeah, he was amazing.
James Thomas, what do you got for us on Journey to Rodtober this week?
Well, I think, you love You love big acts, and Braden Montgomery in his debut with the White Sox hit a walk-off home run, first walk-off home run in the big leagues. And we're getting so many of those stories where these young up-and-comers are brought up right away, sign big contracts, is first hit, first RBI, first home run, first walk-off, and first walk-off home run all in one at-bat. You can't go wrong.
Braden Montgomery, shout out to you down there on the south side. But hey, that's, get it going early. Get yourself in the record book the right way. I'll take it. You'll have a good debut.
By the way, the first place Chicago White Sox, Rod, make sure you have their name in your mouth correctly.
Sorry, I apologize to all the Southsiders out there, all the pale hosers.
You don't mean that.
By the way,
Rod.
the Cubs are in fourth and they have one less win. So that's where we are right now in the NL Central. But I want to talk about something else that you like, Rod. You love trades. You love trade deadlines. And the NBA has a pretty big draft coming up soon. But Tarik Skubal for the Detroit Tigers is he's rejoining the Tigers as a pitcher. He is the best pitcher in the league, not named Paul Skeens, and actually might even be better than Skeens. He was hurt. He's come back, but the Tigers stink, Chris. Do you think Skubal is going to be a Yankee or Dodger before the end of the month?
Why can't he be a
Next
Cub?
month, I guess.
Lord knows we
Money?
need him.
That would be the reason.
Well, right. No, you got to think he's going to be a Yankee, right? I think the Yankees are going to try to outbid anybody. They are dealing with some injuries. They are trying to keep up with Tampa Bay, who is legitimately top tier. I think it's going to be New York.
I don't know. I think the Yankees don't have the farm system that maybe a Cubs do, or obviously the Dodgers, they just print whatever they want to print. But the Yankees do want to make some kind of a splash, Rod. And do you remember the guy that helped win the World Series for the Cubs, Aroldis Chapman? Does that ring a bell?
I was on mute there, making sure I was doing a good job of listening. I sure do, and I believe we got him from the Yankees, did we not?
We did, and there are rumors that the Yankees might want him back because the Red Sox stink, and he's good. But Rod, you like baseball, but you like fighting too. And Aroldis Chapman said, I might be able to go back there, but they owe me an apology first because in 2022, they left him off their playoff roster after missing a mandatory meeting. Little hard feelings there. People don't forget, Rod.
So, I mean, I read this way, and Chris is going to love this analogy, but it seems as if Mr. Chapman wants the Yankees to acknowledge him. It seems as if he's ready to have the Yankees come out in the middle of Yankee Stadium there and acknowledge him in front of all the fans and show him his proper respect. That's kind of what it seems like to me.
And Chris just says yes. Okay, he said he. This is a audio and video, Chris. So you're
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't have anything else to add because I agree. I still think it'd be fun.
All right, well, that's enough about baseball, Rod. Guess what? It's time for the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. And I bet you the Spurs wish they had their last 15 minutes back because they gave up the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history last night. We've all seen the photos of every single major A-list celebrity staying on the court until they are kicked off because they are so excited. I watched this entire game, and I believe what I saw because I never thought the Knicks were out, Rod. It was 25 points. Oh, now it's 21. Well, now it's 17. The Spurs didn't make any shots and made some dumb moves. Rod, talk to me.
We're getting ready for summer football out there. And you know how every one of the assistant coaches always loves to yell at the players, this is what you lift them weights for, right? You know what I mean? Like you're telling everybody that at some point, it's going to pay off. You lift the weights for the big prize at the end. We trudge through the NBA regular season and terrible decisions by coaches and terrible decisions by NBA owners and frankly, terrible decisions by Adam Silver and tanking teams that drive Chris up the wall and force us to have the same argument 14 times over and over. We go through all of that so we can get to games like last night and games like game 1 in this NBA Finals and other games like in this playoffs. We focus in on the minutia, and that's great, and I'm ready to get into it. But we often forget that this, at least for me, is the reason I watch basketball. I've got no real skin in the game with the Spurs or the Knicks. Sure, I've decided which side I want to root for, because I'm somebody that needs to have a rooting interest when I watch, but I've got no real skin in the game. But that was amazing. Seeing that place go berserk, seeing guys like Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller go crazy reminds you that sports is the same to everybody. Ben Stiller doesn't have a care in the world, has millions of dollars in the bank, and he can still go just as crazy for a Knicks game as I can go for a Celtics game. And there's something cool about that.
Mariska Hargitay was crying on the court. She couldn't understand what happened. You could just see her walking around not understanding things, and I thought it was great, Chris.
Right. I mean, and when you're a fan of a fledgling franchise that maybe hasn't seen glory in decades, right? And as Cubs fans, we knew this very well before 2016, right? You sometimes don't understand or believe certain things can happen. What do you mean there is a rain delay in the ninth inning of this World Series game in Cleveland, and then we're going to come back and somehow, right? Like, you do come out baffled at first, especially if you're going to be there live, right? I remember my parents talking to me about the IU versus Kentucky game back in the day when Christian Watford hit that 3 to beat Kentucky, right? And both of my parents were like, we just were stunned, almost in shock. Like, you don't know how to react because you're just so flabbergasted that something like this could happen. So I completely understand it.
So let's get into the minutia a little bit here. I think one thing that's obvious here is these games are officiated differently than any other game. And I don't know if that's a good thing because these finals are way too physical. There are so many pushes, hits, taking legs out, just elbows everywhere all the time. And what's a foul then, Rod? Like, I don't understand how I don't understand what we're watching on a lot of these.
I was going to be interested in what you gentlemen thought of me putting that in the pre-show document there. I hit the 3 question marks on it because I was trying to leave it open-ended. But I, too, Jimmy, tend to come down a little bit where you do. I love to say to myself, let the boys play. But now, as 47-year-old me who sat back and watched an awful lot of these NBA finals and watched so many NBA games, what I watched last night is not the same as 70% of the other basketball that I've watched in my life, right? And I can't quite square why all of those other games that aren't officiated or played the same exact way mean so much leading up to this one. And I hate to go this way, but like, I don't know how much more physical we can let these guys get. And that's all that they're going to do the more we allow it. So I don't want to see a bunch of free throws and a bunch of refs having to adjudicate things, but like, it's maybe getting close to being out of control, Jimmy. I tend to be a little on your side here.
Well, I don't want to see people getting hurt either. That's the thing. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to have to rethink his entire workout regimen, later on, because he can't do this for the entire playoffs, because that's what people are going to start doing to him, and they're going to hit him every time he's on the court. He gets hit all the time, Chris.
Well, when you get caught on film just shoving a guy in the back of the neck and head, you're going to get some retribution, especially when the league has made it clear that, well, that's not a flagrant anymore, even though the rule book says it is, right? So they're like, hey, the league doesn't think this is a flagrant, so I'm willing to give up a foul to knock somebody in the back of the neck a little bit harder next time they come down the court or next time they go into the lane. This is what the league has dictated will happen in these finals. And now we're seeing what that brings us.
I think it's a good thing that we have 2 games in between to let everyone cool down a little bit, but also that does work in the Spurs' favor. I'm not sure who the officials are going to be yet. That'll be interesting to see who comes in for Game 5. But I think that
is that Scott Foster? Is that the extender Scott Foster's music, Jimmy? Is that what you're intimating here?
I'm assuming Scott Foster is going to be Game 5 because they want this to go back to New York either way. I mean, that's going to be insane. And if you want to sell your house to get a nosebleed section at Madison Square Garden, you go right ahead. But that's going to help the Spurs a lot. I just don't understand how a team that is up by so much gets scared. And that's what's happened basically every game this series. They've gotten up a lot. They've gotten scared. They've gone away from what worked. Making shots obviously didn't work in the second half for the Spurs. But a big thing is Wembanyama's minutes. In that first half, Wembanyama played most of the first half when they were up so much. And everyone can see he gets tired. You need to take him out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways we could talk about Wemby missing the 2 free throws. I think we're making an unfortunate or a fortunate scapegoat of De'Aaron Fox here. I think people wanted to ostracize and make De'Aaron Fox the odd man out before the playoffs even started. Yeah, so it's easy to point this guy out, and he certainly did make some mistakes. But I want to address something here, Jimmy, that unfortunately I think I'm pretty qualified, sadly, to talk about, and that's when a team buries a bunch of 3-pointers in the first half and then starts playing with their food. All right. Unfortunately, my favorite team, the Boston Celtics, have numerous games on their resume where they have done just this. Numerous games versus the New York Knicks that they have done just this. So I feel that the Celtics help the Knicks out with dress rehearsals to be able to be ready for this basketball game. Because if you watch the X's and O's, which I'm not great at, but in a series like this, you can start to get better at it by game 4. The Knicks didn't change anything at halftime in the way they played defense. The Spurs were still getting the same shots in the second half that they were getting in the first half. They just weren't hitting them. It's almost like the Knicks said to themselves, hey, there's no way these guys are going to set another record in the second half shooting 3-pointers. So let's just keep doing what we do. And I don't know if that's a testament to the Knicks players or if that's a testament to Mike Brown, another guy who just seems to have the right steady hand here for the Knicks. I don't know how much credit to give him, but he's got to get some.
Well, I think so too, Chris, because whenever you go to a Knicks huddle, he's not freaking out. When they were down all those points, he was just calm, cool, collected, and really might be that coach that they needed, because obviously Tibbs would have just been all red in the face and huffing and puffing.
The players have been here before. The players are exuding that same kind of confidence, that same type of cool-headedness, and the coach is going to be able to see that. He knows these guys have been through just about every type of scenario, especially over the last 3 years in the playoffs.
I think that's a great point, Chris, but I think being confident enough to let those guys do it, right? I think that's kind of what Jimmy's intimating at. Tibbs doesn't have enough confidence to just let the guys do it. He's got to be in control. You know what I mean? He's like, if we're going down my way. And Mike Brown's like, all right, you guys seem to have it. Don't let me get in the way. And I think that he gets credit for that.
Right. And you got to look at the other side too, the coaching for the Spurs. All right. When you only score, 14 points in the third quarter,
14.
right? Don't bring it out again in the fourth, because it's not working and they're coming back. All right.
I mean, it was
if
14 in
you
the third, 16 in the fourth. Yep.
They could survive one quarter of, okay, our shots aren't hitting now. Let's stop shooting threes real quick and early in the shot clock.
All right, Chris, I want you to talk about your boy OG Ananobi. Great year for Indiana. Great year for Indiana.
I mean, he that's what he does. He's been doing these hustle plays his entire NBA career, from the time he got drafted and went to Toronto all the way to now. He plays hard. He puts his body on the line, and he does those things. I mean, San Antonio messed it up. They left him unblocked, unattached, right? They didn't guard him on the inbound, and they just forgot he was even there. And you can't do that with really anybody on that starting lineup for New York, but especially OG Ananobi.
Did he miss 4 shots total, 1 3-pointer, and 3 other field goals in the second half? I mean, he was just insane. He only had 1 turnover in the game.
33 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 7 of 9 from 3-point, 6 of 6 from the free throw. He's your MVP if and when the Knicks win this. And we got to shout out Danhausen again, who says never give up on Knickshausen for sure. You know, it was funny that his debut in Madison Square Garden was a little overshadowed by someone else's debut in Madison Square Garden for this series, I guess, not his debut overall. And his curse could not overcome the other curse, but it did bring it back, so that's good. OG Ananobi, the Knicks, they are a team that always thinks they're in it. They stay on point. This is the first time they've played 3 or 4 different people, just because they were getting killed so much and people were so tired in the first half. But really, their game plan has been just wait it out, get everybody tired, and the Knicks have better conditioning. I think they're going to lose in San Antonio in Game 5, but I don't think it's going back to San Antonio after that. I think they're going to win in 6.
It's going to be a remember the Alamo type thing. They're going to batten down the hatches. They're going to come out, right? They're going to have them in the multicolor Fiesta shirts. Wembanyama's going to have the Jackals beating the drums. He's going to have a whole bunch of chants that he texts to him ahead of time, which apparently is a thing. I heard from my guy Tim McMahon on the Hoop Collective that like Victor through intermediaries like contacts those people in the Jackals and like tells them what to do. And so that place is going to be rabid. I would imagine we're coming back to Madison Square Garden and like, you better get Game 6, New York, because you're going to have all the pressure in the world on you to win Game 6 anyway. And then going back to Game 7, you don't want any part of that. So I hope we get more basketball because these games have been great. But more basketball, Jimmy, there is other things to talk about in the league. We don't want to get too bogged down on these finals.
So we do have 3 teams that still need an NBA coach in the NBA. We have 2 teams that have really promising jobs. And then we have the Trailblazers who we're not really sure about because Tiago Splitter was an amazing coach his first year as an interim because he did 80 of the 81 games. But they let him go. We have the Bulls who have the 4th and 15th pick in the draft, and they're starting anew. And then we have the Mavericks who have a couple decent players on their team, including Cooper Flagg. If you are an NBA head coach, which one of those 3 do you want, Chris?
I think I want Dallas. Give me Cooper Flagg. Give me the opportunity that maybe this franchise is moving to Vegas soon, right? So give me Dallas.
That was kind of an interesting bomb to just drop in there when we're talking about the coach of the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I like that. Rod.
Cooper Flagg's clearly the best player that you'd want to attach yourself to, right? But like, if you're asking me which job I want as an NBA coach, okay, I got to put myself in the mindset of I need to survive. I'd like to have 3 years here. You know what I mean? I don't want to move in and like immediately have to get myself fired, right? So I think if you attach yourself to Cooper Flagg, Kyrie's probably going to be there, maybe not. I don't know. You got Lively. I think there's some expectations in Dallas, right? I think I might go work for Portland. I really do. I think I might go work for Portland, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of good young talent there. There's a rabid fan base, and there's already a villain. Nobody's blaming me. Tom Dundon is El Cheapo already. Fans want to burn that guy in effigy already. Nobody's going to blame you. You're going to come in. You're going to have low expectations and some pretty decent talent. I think I might take that Portland job, Jimmy.
That's interesting because he's not going to want to pay you and another coach. That's for sure. So you're going to get at least your 3 years in there. But I think it's time to look at the Bulls. They've got their new president in there, or GM in there, and they're kind of being let. He can go do what he needs to do, and I think they have a chance to do something special here with the 4 and 15th pick. They've got to get it right. 4 is easy. You just pick the one who's there. Please don't be Darren Peterson. And 15, you've got to do your job, and you've got to get somebody who's going to come in and be a difference maker. I think I'd go with the Bulls on that because they also, Rod, don't like to fire people.
Maybe. Chris, I want to talk to you here for a second because you and I both, we love Jimmy an awful lot. We love the Cowboy. We know some Bulls fans in our lives. Are you, like me, a little bit worried right now that Bulls fans are just sort of already kind of getting out over their skis? Like they're just getting their hopes up so high. Like, what are we talking about? This is the same Bulls franchise that has been absolutely nothing for like a decade. What am I missing here, Chris?
These are the same fans that are also Bears fans, and they're on this little high from Chicago being possibly good again, and they think, look, at the changes the Bulls are making, they're going to be good too. But it's not going to happen, all right? It's just not. These are still the Bulls, all right? Be happy with 39 win.
How dare you?
I just think as long as the Reinsdorfs are running the team, Jimmy, you guys are in trouble up there. And the Reinsdorfs say they want to step back, right? But you made mention of it here a minute ago. Dolan, right? He was getting a whole bunch of props for stepping back. And then what did he do? Seems like he tried his damnedest to kill the vibe at Madison Square Garden in games 3 and 4. He's kind of like, hold my beer. I'll show you guys who's calling the shots around here. Look at who I'm bringing up into my box. Now I'm fighting with the mayor. You can't have a watch party. You know what I mean? Like a bad owner is going to bad owner.
It was also brought up that all the businesses around Madison Square Garden were closed because they didn't let anyone within a 2-block radius. Like that's hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of dollars that is just gone. That's horrible. Goodness. Speaking of teams that really need help, we have the NBA draft is less than 2 weeks away, and really everyone is saying it's going to be Debanza to the Wizards, Darren Peterson to the Jazz, Cam Boozer to the Grizzlies, and Caleb Wilson to the Bulls. Danny Ainge is someone who did not pick Markelle Fultz and pick Jason Tatum. I can't see how he's picking Darren Peterson with all the issues he has. Am I crazy, Chris?
No, I don't think so. Unless, this is totally possible, because the dude has proven he knows more than everybody else. Unless he knows something that the rest of the basketball world doesn't, I don't see him taking him over Boozer at all in this situation. I think if Boozer's available, he's going to the Jazz.
I don't know, Rod. Do you think the supplements that Peterson was taking that's it? Danny's like, okay, we're good now. And even if he didn't, I don't know if he's taking Boozer. He might take Caleb Wilson.
I think Danny doesn't give a crap what ESPN's draft analyst says. He doesn't give a crap what the Athletics draft analyst says, right? Hoops Hype. He doesn't care what any of those people say. He doesn't care what the college coaches say. Danny Ainge is going to bet on talent all the time. And as of right now, there's still enough doubt in the air that if you're talking about the highest ceiling, it's Darren Peterson. So I think Danny Ainge is going to take Darren Peterson and be willing to deal with whatever may come and say to himself that I believe in 3 years, that guy's going to be what Jason Tatum was 3 years after I got him in Boston. That's what I think Ainge is going to do.
He could be, but if he does trade down, I would be very concerned whoever is trading up, because he may not be the pick that you want. So just watch yourself on that one. So
I don't think the top four is where we're going to see trading, Jimmy. I think what we're going to see trading is after we get out of the top 5, right? Because what exists between 6 and 10, and this is your guy, Acuff, is in this deal. 6 through 9 are basically point guards if you want to go by talent, right? And a lot of those teams that are picking there don't necessarily need a point guard. So what the guy's name, Mara from Michigan, I think he becomes the interesting factor in the draft here. Is somebody going to move up to try to get this guy? Who's going to get this guy in the glut of the picks? Is Acuff as good as you guys say, and he's going to slide back and somebody's going to get him, right? I think that's where the draft gets interesting. And the one thing that's going to still dominate the NBA offseason factors into the draft here, Jimmy, because if Haslam, the owner of the Bucks, is to be believed, he says he wants to have Giannis sewn up before the draft.
I would. There's that 5 or 6 days in between Game 7 and the draft could just be amazing, and we could see Giannis going into green, going down to South Beach. Really, I think those are kind of the two teams that he could go to right now, and it just depends if Brad Stevens wants to do it, and we'll see what happens there. But one thing before we go to the Yeah We Know portion of the podcast, Darius Acuff, you see these playoffs, scoring he could probably do, but you've got to play defense in these playoffs, and he's a negative on defense. I don't see how a team like Brooklyn, unless they just want to put butts in seats for scoring, but Cam Thomas didn't do it, Rod.
Brooklyn drafted like 4 point guards last year. I mean, didn't they?
Of course. Yeah, why not? Yeah, do a 5th.
I mean, again, I understand that people say the talent in Acuff is supposed to be there. As much as I despise car salesman Calipari, his track record, I suppose, is pretty good of guys into the NBA. So if you're Brooklyn, I guess what I would say, I just made fun of them taking 4 point guards. But if you're Brooklyn, just take the best player. Stop thinking about any of it, right? Like you said, Jimmy, you're a desolate wasteland over there, right? The Liberty games are more jumping in your arena than your games are. You know what I mean? So like you're a year away from being a year away. Just draft the best player that's out there. And if that's Acuff, get it done.
I love that. Chris, you're never a year away from being a year away. What do you think about Acuff and any draft nuggets you have before the draft here in a couple weeks?
Well, no, my team's not really involved in this year's draft. Right? No, this is what I'll say. For Acuff's best foot forward, I hope that he gets drafted by a team that's already solid defensively, so that he can learn a proper defensive-minded team scheme and maybe increase the likelihood of him having a long-term career in the NBA.
That's tough because I don't think the Clippers are taking him. And then you have the Nets, the Kings, the Hawks, but and the Mavericks coming up. So there are a couple decent teams in there, but I'm a little nervous for Mr. Acuff. I really am.
Now you got to remember though, the Hawks did get rid of Trae Young, right? And CJ McCollum is not necessarily young, right? So you know if you can make the money work, maybe Acuff's a guy that survives there. But again, I am not an Acuff believer. I've been on record as to that, but perhaps I can be wrong. I'm at least man enough to admit that I don't know everything.
All right, that's going to do it for the fast break. We're going to hit the Yeah We Know section of the podcast where we talk WWE. And Rod, you've got some questions about Gunther.
Man, I want to start here, okay? For you wrestling internet people out there, don't come at me. I understand Gunther is great. I know about the Walter days. I know about the NXT Europe days, okay? I was around when Gunther first came into the WWE and was undefeated, Intercontinental Champion for over a year. I've been around for the Ring General, okay? And one thing that's been consistent for the entire Ring General character, whether he's been leaning a little more face or a little more heel, is he respects, right, Jimmy? He respects the game. The people that he gets mad at are the people that he thinks focus too much on the extraneous stuff or all about the pomp and the circumstance or don't treat the glory that is professional wrestling with the right amount of respect. Tell me how that person jives with the guy who is bitching and moaning and complaining to his general manager before leaving the stadium. I don't understand what we're doing with Gunther. I'm smart enough to know we want him to be a big heel. I see the potential in him being a great heel. I just don't know what we're doing on the periphery. Am I wrong here, James?
No, they're just making him that swarmy heel that we've seen before, and it's just not in his character to do that. He could have come out and done that in a different way and gotten the same result. The segment could have been exactly the same, just not yelling and screaming and whining about it. Come out, get your rematch, take down Rhodes, have Sami Zayn come out so you have somebody else to work with for a month or so, and then you go back to Cody. I disagree with this completely. I don't think they're doing the right thing, Chris.
We have seen this before, right? When he attacked the announcers, the crowd do not buy him as a heel. We want to applaud the matches that he does because he is great in the ring. He's great on the mic. We want to like him. I don't know how you do it because I'm not as smart as you guys, right? But something's got to change. He needs the belt. He needs it way more than Cody does.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He needs to be that fiery heel, but they've got other fiery heels right now that they're focusing on, even though they had him beat 3 legends and retire them all. Speaking of legends. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the other part, right? Is that and I warned a little bit of this when we were on this run with Gunther. I was like, this is great, but you're giving this guy so much heat that once you go land on the moon, where are you going? You know, the NASA hasn't figured out how to get to Mars yet. So once you land on the moon, that's it. There you go. Thanks, Mr. Astronaut. We can't do anything more with you. You know what I mean? So that's also, Jimmy, why I said I was excited that we knocked Obafemi back out of Branch, right? We can't have everybody riding the rocket ship all the time.
So yeah, Obafemi comes out and he is going to win King of the Ring is what he says. So he won his qualifying match. Now he did talk a lot of stuff about Brock Lesnar. So I think we know where this is going, where Lesnar's going to cost him a singles match, whoever that's going to be against, so they can have their rematch at SummerSlam. But then that kicks Gunther out because we were going to have him retire Lesnar at SummerSlam, even though he's already retired.
There you go, Chris. What do you got for that one?
That takes a minute to get your head around, but I'm going to watch that match. I've loved both the matches. I don't care, right? Give me more. I'm glad Brock's back for at least a little bit longer. I think these matches are great.
Here's how it becomes interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. I thought you were done there.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Here's how it becomes interesting, Jimmy. We just called that, okay, cool, Brock's going to cost Oba the King of the Ring Championship. But at least it can be interesting if who does he lose the King of the Ring Championship to, right? Who is in the ring with Oba that Brock comes down and allows to get that shot? Okay.
Well, let's talk about it. LA Knight getting some main event rub. Maybe. I'm still nervous though. I'm not buying they're pushing him all the way here, Chris.
Okay, he's in this 4-way tomorrow night. We're recording on Thursday, so Friday night
Yes.
SmackDown. He's in that 4-way with who? Jey Uso. We know that's a big beef between them.
Royce Keys and Finn Balor.
Who is the bloodline really going after right now? It's Solo Sikoa and them. So I see somebody ruining it for Jey Uso in this match and helps LA Knight get over. I'm not worried about Keys or Balor. So LA gets out of this, then he's, I think, up against Oba in the semifinals. And then that's when we would see Brock ruin it for Oba.
But Keys got screwed over too, right? So by the MFT. So who knows there, Rod? I think Chris is onto something there where he does win, but I just don't know if they're going to go all the way with him.
I love the idea of LA Knight winning, and I love the idea of continuing bloodline stories because I am not as anti the bloodline story as everybody else on the internet wrestling community seems to be. But here, if LA Knight wins due to a bloodline type interference, then where are we going with that, right? So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many strands in Duder's head here with this match, right? Because basically everything LA Knight's been railing against for weeks that has got him to go. And you're not going to be able to convince me that he didn't self-create some of this by maybe doing a tiny bit of a shoot when he got some ring time, Jimmy. I really do think that he did a tiny bit of a shoot on this and kind of crafted where, like, hey, I'm going to say this thing, and you guys are going to have to try to figure out a way to shoehorn me out after I do it. You can't convince me that didn't sort of happen here.
He was on another podcast recently. He has not returned our phone call, talking about his feelings behind the scenes and him making his feelings known. Very good insight into what he does. So yeah, he might have actually done that. Great missing of the microphone and saying, you're throwing it again because I'm going to catch it this time. I did enjoy that. Javon Evans gets a big win. Go ahead. Yeah.
The only thing I also wanted to say, Jimmy, the other thing that I think is so great about LA Knight and what he's doing right now is it's the realist storyline, right? It's the realist storyline. He's acknowledging what the crowd is saying. He's acknowledging that, yes, you love me, but you also love this other guy that I'm standing here and telling you that I hate, right? Like, very few people do that. You know what I mean? So, like, I appreciate that. And at least they're trying to tell some story. You know what I mean? LA Knight says, you guys used to be on the rise up, and now look at you. You're lackeys again. These guys are making it, you know what I mean? Like, there's reasons behind all of it other than just, I'm mad. I beat you because I'm mad at you, or I want your belt. You know, they're giving us something at least. So I got to try to praise it.
After your boy got a big win last week, Seth Rollins loses because of interference. Javon Evans moves on in the King of the Ring tournament. We do like to see some younger athletes get in there, Chris.
I mean, he deserves a win for what he puts his body through on a weekly basis alone, right? Get him another high-profile match, right? I don't see him moving any further necessarily, but we love to see him in the ring, so put him in the ring again.
I think someone that we have all loved is back finally. He has been hurt for so long, but Chad Gable finally returns to WWE television. And Rod, he is on a redemption tour. He is apologizing and even saving Rey Mysterio. Do you like where they're heading, and do you think it's going to go anywhere?
I'm going to have to apologize to Chad Gable right now. And how dare you not allow me to respond to the fact that both of you just want to come on this podcast and glaze Javon Evans for getting a victory over the visionary, the revolutionary, Seth Rollins. Okay, I don't want to be this guy, but the Vision are forcing my hand. Okay, Austin Theory, get bent. Braun Breaker, get bent. All right. I'm absolutely sick of interference in every stinking match. My God, I get it. You guys are mad at Seth Rollins. You're mad at Seth Rollins because you're jealous of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins looks resplendent every time he comes to the ring. Seth Rollins has the crowd in the palm of his hands. Seth Rollins gets to walk backstage and walk out of the backstage area with Becky Lynch. Seth Rollins has had more gold around his waist than you will probably ever see in your WWE career, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. So I understand that you are jealous of the man, but please keep your ass backstage and stop interrupting my man's trail back to the top. Oh, I'm so mad.
I think we could go back on this podcast a few years and hear me rant almost exactly the same way against Roman Reigns and the OTC. Paul Heyman was also involved with them at that time too.
It's something that is cycled in and out all the time in wrestling, and yes, it's annoying all the time in wrestling when all you have are these schmaz finishes, and it just doesn't help the audience or the viewer like the situation anymore. If you don't want someone to lose, you don't have to have them wrestle each other. You're writing everything.
And I'm sorry to Chad Gable. Let's go back there.
Yeah.
Wonderful
So
to
we need to
see
go to
Chad
Chad Gable.
Gable back. Wonderful to see the pop that Chad Gable got. But Jimmy, you're going to ask the most important question when it comes to Chad Gable right now.
What happens next? Are they
Exactly.
gonna actually
That's it.
go through?
Yeah. That's it.
So
That's
he's going to
the
go on an
question.
apology tour. He's going to apologize. So are they building up to apologizing to Otis? Like, is that really what we're doing? And Maxine, who's probably not even going to be in the group anymore. He helps Rey Mysterio. I love that. He and Penta are good now. You know, Phoenix, I don't know if he's still on the roster or not, but I don't see where this is going unless a Rusev or someone like that gets a belt of some sort, and then he goes for that.
That's what I mean. Well, he's got the kind of heat right now that would say he's a main eventer. He got a 5.75 star match from your guy Meltzer, if that means anything to anybody in the mask versus mask in Noches de los Grandes in Monterrey, Mexico, with Corey Graves and Rey Mysterio and JBL on the call. It was a fabulous, fabulous match to watch. Seeing Gable come back in the suit, seeing him absolutely just ripped to shreds, even more ripped up than Randy Orton was when he came back from injury at times, is great. But we all know they're putting a cap on Chad Gable. And if he's coming back just to apologize to Otis and they're just trying to cook up an Otis match for us, I'm going to be so disappointed for two reasons. Because I want more for Chad Gable, and I want Otis and Tozawa to find their way into Danhausen's lair. I want those two guys to be Danhausen's minions. I want Tozawa to have a lab coat on. I want Otis to kind of be unleashed as like Danhausen's "you are cursed," and then Otis goes at people. What else are those two guys doing?
And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast and the More You Know podcast, part of the More You Know's podcasting network that doesn't exist anymore. We'll get there, Rod. I can't ever do this. I'm done. Thank you for listening, everybody. Chris, take us home.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Yeah. I sucked
Bye,
tonight.
Internet.
That was great. I tell you, man, I'm glad we're not live anymore. I was very bad. Hey, Chelsea Green, let's go.
Chad Gable's going to backstab. He's going to go on an unmasking tour. He's just getting in good. He's using this good graces with the luchadors to get in good. And next thing you know, he's going to be unmasking people. He's going to unmask Dragon Lee first, and then he'll end up unmasking Rey Mysterio in a retirement match, maybe, or then he'll get to Penta possibly. But I think you're going to see him going on an unmasking tour and get some people unmasked.
And Jimmy, are you saying that Rey Fenix got fired after that match? Because Rey Fenix was Mysterio's partner in that match.
No. I'm just saying, like, you know, what are they doing with him? You know, they're not doing anything with him.
I was like, did I miss something? I was like, I'm fairly certain Rey
no.
Fenix was in that match. I was like, I know some of the luchadors can look the same at times. I was like, but I think that was Rey Fenix.
Yeah, and I'm 100% behind Rod's idea with Danhausen and the Alpha Academy.